So Kapoor, we have just, I have tried to summarize, Ambassador Kapoor, what India has done over the past several weeks versus Pakistan's efforts as well. Why do you think that Pakistan at this point in time, or rather, what do you think Pakistan at this point in time is hoping to achieve through this? What does one even call it? It's it's a sham of a diplomatic outreach. So, for the lack of a better word, what do you think, Ambassador Kapoor, Pakistan is trying to achieve by competing with India?
Thank you, Devika. I think it's a very important step that India has taken, and it was very essential to do this. And Pakistan has taken some similar steps, focusing on just the important nations of the world, which include Washington, D.C., Brussels, which is the headquarters of the European Union, London, and Moscow, rather than having a very broad effort at other countries of the world also. I think sitting from Washington, D.C., my perspective is a little bit different from what it would be if I were sitting in Delhi. In a sense, what we are doing is very good for the Indian population, for the Indian media, and to spread the narrative in India. But to spread the narrative outside India, we need to be a little more sensitive to the message that they will hear, to the contents of the message. For example, what we have heard even now in the preamble is very good articulation. But if I am an American sitting in the US, is that message making any impact on my mind? How will it make a greater impact on my mind? Now, if the same delegation were to bring along, for example, if we tell the human story first, now we lead with the lives which are affected directly. We bring with the delegation the voice of a wife who was witness to the loss of her husband in Pahalgam. And then automatically the relevance of Sindoor becomes very clear to the listener here. We share the testimony, for example, of a Kashmiri who continues to live under terror threats on a daily basis. And like the Israelis after October 22nd, we use photos with consent of those killed in the attacks. Faces which Americans and the other countries of the world can connect with, can recognize, and these are not just statistics. So we have to humanize. We do not have to dramatize. And we have to remind people in Washington, D.C. and all over the world, as we have done, that terrorism in Kashmir is a daily heartbreak for real people. It is not an abstract issue. It will reach other countries and it will reach the US shores again. It is not that it has not reached it earlier. Just like 9/11 or October 22nd, what happened in the Middle East. We have to also, articulate about our democratic restraint, but say that we remain committed to constitutional rights and rule of law despite persistent terror threats. Kashmir terrorism is part of a broader global jihadist landscape. And US India cooperation and US India global cooperation is absolutely important and vital. The caliphate is real, and we are engaged not just in a battle of hitting back at them, but in a battle for survival. And if this battle remains unchecked, it will reach the American people and all the others. We have to remind the American audience of the capture of Osama bin Laden in Pakistan. So, in all the other aspects also, we have to have very firm, detailed thinking and execution in terms of what our goals are, in terms of what our strategy is, in terms of what our tactics are. So for the US Congress, for example, we have very good connects. Many of the Indian diaspora here that I know personally, with the US, speaker, for example. Now to get the speaker and a delegation of the Congress over dinner, not just over meetings in the office, but over an extended interaction, and then briefing them with content, where you also talk about the dangers of neglect as Chinese technology and Chinese military, planes and military weapons are experimented on Indian soil, and what threat that poses to the Americans. So there are other engagements which we have to similarly, intensify. The delegations are doing that. The Indian embassies are doing a very good job, but we have to reorient our focus to understand the sensitivities of the local people, of the local leaders, and how do we get the message across in a very, sort of forceful manner,
Yes.
where they understand what the threat is posed. Similarly, for the think tanks, similarly for the outreach for the academics, similarly for using the digital platforms, and also we have a very phenomenal Indian diaspora, for example, in the US and elsewhere. There are advocates of the Indian diaspora who are interfacing with the administration, with the governments regularly. Now, if they are, used, leveraged in a very active manner, it will make our effort more worthwhile. We will get more value and more leverage and more returns. Thank
Okay.
you, Devika.
All right. Major SPB Singh, I want to bring you into the conversation, sir. Major Singh, I want to understand from